Uh, okay, I guess we're live and ready to go. It's 9:05 roughly. Sorry for the delay. Had a couple of little technical issues that we had to address, but like to welcome everybody to this morning's meeting. We're going to be hearing this morning from Kim Crosby and Carrie Thompson, and one's a milk bottler and reseller, and Kim is with Casella Waste, and she's the compliance officer there. And I believe we're going to talk some about the unwrap machine or whatever it is. We're going to find out. But anyhow, we're dealing a lot with food waste, food scraps, composting on farms, and so that issue is important to us and how it's working. But before we get into that with you, Kim, and I don't. Is there any reason, Carrie, do you have a time crunch or no?
No, good. I'm good for a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll have the committee introduce themselves and then, yeah, boy, that looks better, Pearson.
We've just been Zoom bombed.
Yeah. Forgive me. Kids at home on Wednesday. It's tricky.
Would you like the committee could introduce themselves, please?
Good morning, Chris Pearson from Chittenden County.
Anthony Polina, Washington County.
Ryan Collimore from Rutland County.
Corey from Franklin County and Alberg.
And I'm Bobby Starr, and I'm from Essex, Orleans County. So with that, I'd like to again welcome both of you folks to our meeting this morning, and I guess turn it over to Kim, who will fill us in on DRAP. So anyways, the floor is yours, Kim, and we run kind of a informal meeting, I guess you'd call it. So as you go, you may get some questions on issues as, we all listen.
Sure.
So we'll welcome, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for inviting me to be here today to discuss Casella's newly installed depackaging operation. For the record, I'm Kim Crosby, Environmental Compliance Manager with Casella Waste Systems, which is based out of Rutland. My office is actually here in Montpelier. We operate waste and recycling facilities and provide collection services throughout the state of Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, and Pennsylvania. For your reference, and if you're interested in learning more about Casella's operations, I have a 2-page report that provides an overview of what we do and volumes and types of materials we collect that I sent over to Linda yesterday. That report also includes a link to our biannual sustainability report that I highly recommend checking out in your spare time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say, also for the record that, we're aware of the existing issues or discussions related to feeding of food scraps to chickens. We have been supportive and actually have testified in support of allowing that activity to continue and be regulated by the Department of Agriculture. We think feeding food scraps to chickens and allowing farms to use food scraps as compost is an essential part of the implementation of the Universal Recycling Law. And it's certainly a great option for managing some of the source separated organics. And since we've been following along on that topic, we heard some concerns about the depackaging operation. So we thought it would be a good time to come in and talk about the facility that we recently installed at our transfer station located in Williston. So with the final phase of the organics ban, we recognized that there was a large portion of the organic waste stream that isn't source separated. And prior to July 1st, that material was going to landfill for disposal. And then after July 1st, disposal was not going to be an option for that material any longer. And without a facility in state, this material would have to be sent to an out-of-state depackaging facility. Depackaging facilities do exist in other states like Maine and Massachusetts. I believe 2 of the depackaging facilities in Mass are actually co-located with a digester on a farm. So recognizing that there was a need to manage packaged material, we began permitting and constructing a depackaging operation that would provide an in-state solution for our customers. So Linda, I'm going to need permission to share now.
You have it. Did you not get it? Your co-host.
Now, where do I get to it?
Go to share screen. Can you see that?
No.
Well, I'll be happy to share. Give me 1 sec here.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you folks, Kim, hooked up with someone with a digester or?
Yes. Yep, we are. Yep. It's Purpose Energy in Burlington, South Burlington, that's located at the Magic Hat Brewery.
Yeah.
Okay, so Linda, if you could just go to the next slide. Be great. Thank you. Oh, yep, right there. So this is an overview of the operation of the facility. The unit can process around 20 tons an hour. We have 3 15,000-gallon tanks on site for organic slurry storage. We can process and remove contaminants from our residential and commercial organic collection routes and bring that material to a certified compost facility. We installed a baler so we can bale and recycle cardboard packaging and boxes. And as I was just saying, the organic slurry that will be produced will be transported to the digester operated by Purpose Energy in South Burlington. The digester uses organic waste streams to generate biogas that powers Magic Hat's boiler and cogeneration system. We're also planning to backhaul some of their gray water to the digester to use in our depackaging facility to process certain types of materials in lieu of using, clean water. Thus, we'd be saving on water consumption. And we do anticipate formally opening the facility at the end of February. We had hoped to open sooner, but construction got delayed a few months because of the pandemic. So next slide, Linda, unless anyone has any questions.
It sounds like you're utilizing everything, either the cardboard or styrofoam. You're getting rid of that in a recyclable way along with the meat products.
Right. So if the packaging is recyclable packaging, then we can recycle it. And if it's not, then we're obviously going to have to take it over to the transfer station for disposal. But we did put a baler in, which you can see down at the bottom of that site plan for cardboard that was typically in the past getting disposed of. So we'll be diverting more of that from disposal, which will be great. So you can see the tipping area. There's 2 bunkers there, labeled tipping area, that will store the material as it comes in. And then right above those bunkers, there's a hopper where the material will get loaded into, and that feeds the unit right above that hopper. And inside that unit, there are paddles that kind of bang the organic material out of the packaging. And below those paddles, there's a series of screens, and you can change out the screens depending upon the material that you're processing. So we could bring those screens down to 1/4 inch in size. And so if it's a liquid material that we're processing and we're adding water to it, that will get conveyed to those 15,000-gallon tanks. If it's a dry product that we're processing, it'll come out one of those chutes. It'll be conveyed with looks like a large screw through one of those chutes and it will drop out into a roll-off container, and we can take that either, again, depending upon what it is, to a compost facility, or maybe it could be animal feed. And then we have the trash stays on top of those screens below the paddles and moves out and is conveyed out through a separate chute and disposed of in a roll-off container. Any questions there?
It's pretty hard to see, but
Well, I got some other pictures that'll
yeah.
give you a better view of it.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Well, two questions. Kim, I don't usually go for sort of grand openings. As a senator, we get invited to that stuff, but this is so cool. If you do invite people, please think of me, and I'll be glad to come check it out, just because I'm very curious about it. How automated is it versus labor intensive? Like, is there one person watching this, or if you're trying to, reuse the cardboard or whatever, or do you have to have several people? I'm just trying to have a better vision for that.
So we're trying to figure that out too, Senator Pearson. I mean, we literally just turned this unit on last week. We've got one person, obviously, that needs to, manage the material on the tip floor and load the hopper. And really the unit runs itself. There's not a lot to do behind the scenes. Obviously, we're going to need to monitor the boxes and work the baler, but I don't, maybe 2 people, 3 people tops, maybe.
Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah, and to your point about a grand opening, we had planned on doing that. It's a little challenging with the pandemic, but certainly, any one of you who wants to come over and check it out, we can figure something out. Absolutely, it's really amazing to see. It's very impressive, and a lot of credit goes to Mike Casella. He really worked hard seeing this project constructed and finished.
Do they have other plant, or not you folks, but are there other plants? Is that the same as Maine or Pennsylvania?
Yeah, it's a similar operation. I've never been to the one in Maine, so I don't want to speak too much about that, but that is a depackaging facility as far as I can understand. And without one in Vermont, that material has to go out of state to be managed. It can't go for disposal anymore. So we needed an in-state option to manage it.
Yeah, well, I think, and the committee can pick up on this if I'm wrong, but I thought we heard that Maine, they had a lot of plastic that also got through the process and into the meat. Or did we hear that or not?
Well, I think some of the concern with what's going to Maine. So I was at a Act 148 stakeholder meeting about a year ago, and they had a representative from AgriCycle and from Hannaford's come in and talk about that process. And Hannaford's liked sending that material to that operation because it was easier for them. It was cost effective for them. It was less labor intensive. But there is material that's mixed, right? There's source separated mixed with not source separated material. So, the issue with microplastics is a problem. It's it's in compost and it's in digestate. And we certainly have no interest in contributing to an issue. We want to work with this technology to try to resolve that issue the best that we can.
Yeah.
Kim, so do I have it right that you set the machine up and you run, an hour of meat, and then you switch the machine around and you run an hour of crackers or whatever? Like, is that the premise? Because it's automated, but up to a point, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we can process organics from our commercial and residential collection route, and I've got some photos of that. It actually comes out pretty clean. And it's great because it removes a lot of people are using the compostable bags.
Yep.
So we can remove a lot of that. And we actually brought one test load already over to a certified compost facility. So it's nice and clean.
All right.
It was actually amazing to see how clean it did come out.
So besides meat, you run a lot of other products through there, or you
Yeah,
will
absolutely.
do.
Absolutely. Linda, if you want to go to the next slide. There's the actual unit itself while it was being installed. So that long sort of chamber there is where the paddles are inside. And that big sort of black thing is where the hopper feeds into that unit. The material moves up that chute and feeds into the unit and then disperses to either chute. It looks small in this photo, but it's actually quite large and really impressive how quiet it is and how fast it can process material. So then the next slide. So here's some examples of the material that we can process. So Ben and Jerry's ice cream, that's either expired or it's off spec. I believe the Ben and Jerry's, this material was coming out of the St. Albans plant and was going to Hudson Falls to a waste incinerator that will be able to separate out here with this unit and capture the organics and dispose of the packaging. The photo on the right is expired baby formula. So you can imagine how labor intensive it would be to have to empty every single one of those containers. And this was the first material that we ran last week. And those lids are made out of a number 5 plastic, which especially when it's really cold, gets really brittle and does break apart. So we might have to adjust screens and add an additional screen at the end of the chute to get some of that plastic out that comes out. So, addressing upstream packaging that manufacturers and producers are using is, I think, going to be part of this equation, whether the material is going for compost or to a digester. And the bottom picture is our organics collection route that we brought in and ran through and brought over to the compost place. Okay, Linda, next slide. So this is another great example of the material that we get requests to dispose of. So the top left is a vitamin supplement. And the 2 other photos there's some off-spec beer that wasn't pasteurized correctly. And I think the bottom is cider. So some labor on our part is required here, right? We're going to have to take the plastic off. We're going to have to remove the containers from inside those boxes. But, that wasn't something that the facility was able to do. But we're able to do now with our facility.
But it seems like we have an awful lot of food going to waste.
Right. And that's another part of the equation, Senator Starr, right, is reduction. And when you look at that amount of baby formula, what is the solution? How do you reduce that from happening?
Well, one way would be to expire it 2 weeks earlier and then put it out the last 2 weeks to be distributed to people. But anyway, Senator Collmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And maybe I missed this, Kim, and if I did, I apologize. How much does this machine cost?
This was a $4 million investment for us. Yep.
For one machine?
Yeah, for the whole building and the tanks and yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How does the money flow around this? In other words, if I'm the beer company and I didn't pasteurize my beer, I get it to you. You're doing me a service in a sense. I mean, just wondering who pays for what in this system?
The generator would pay a fee to bring their material to it, just like any other facility.
As if same as going to the dump or the recycling
Right.
depot.
Yep.
And it-
A
and
lot of
it-
these, a lot of these generators, especially if it's beer, they want a certificate of destruction. They want to know that this material has been destroyed, and we're going to be able to do that. And we were able to do that on the disposal side, but we're now going to be able to do that also with this facility with the process that we're putting in place.
There's a different cost for different materials. I would say, like, there's beer has a price and Twinkies has a price. Or
Yeah, again, we literally are still in the trialing phase, so I don't even think that we've fine-tuned the
okay,
cost
I was
yet.
just curious.
In a related question, Kim, then does
Yeah.
Magic Hat just pay you as if you're an electric producer, or and it's only so much of our business, but just trying to understand. You've obviously designed this in a symbiotic way, which is pretty fantastic, and
Right.
I'd love to understand their piece of this.
Yeah, it would be worth actually maybe inviting them in to explain what they do. I believe we have a contract with them. I'm not sure of the details. I could find out though.
Any other questions?
I think I have one last slide possibly. There's an overview of the general tip floor. You can see the hopper in the back, the baler over to the right for the cardboard, and then one of the chutes where the material comes out. Next slide. Some of the material as it's been processed, that's dry, right? So there's some nice organic looking material. And the picture on the left and the chute in the far back is the one that the packaging is coming out of.
So you do, or do you have a dryer there, or is that dried product that went through the process?
It's the dried product that went through. Yep. And sometimes, as we're working out this system and how to operate it, we might figure out that adding water is a better solution than processing it dry.
That looks like it would make good chicken feed.
Yeah. It does. I think it's vitamin supplement. They'd be pretty healthy. And then the next slide, I think this is the last one. And that's just a picture of one of the tanks that we can store the organic slurry prior to being transferred over to the digester.
Yeah.
So again, we're still in the testing phase. As I mentioned, we just turned on the unit for the first time last week. We're trying to figure out the best way to operate the unit. We figure it's probably going to take a whole year to nail that process down as we go through each season. And initially, our plan is to pretty much only process the material that we handle. But at some point, we are hoping that we can open it up to a third-party hauler.
Yep.
So, any other questions?
Senator Colmore?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. This is just a comment, not a question, Kim. Being from Rutland, I have the advantage of remembering back when John and Doug Casella began the company, and I just have to marvel. I mean, they started with one pickup truck and began picking up people's garbage, and here they are, a company that gives back tremendously, by the way, to the community. I just wonder whether John or Doug ever imagined what would what they'd be looking at when they first started. So it's a great company.
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. We certainly are trying to be, on the cutting edge of technology, and John has said himself multiple times, we'll cannibalize ourselves before we, if we have to, in order to, save landfill space. So.
Yeah. Senator Polina?
Do you Casella own or operate these facilities in other states? You mentioned there's some in Maine, Massachusetts. Do you own those, or
no?
Is this your first one?
This is the first one. Yep.
Right.
This is the first and only one in Vermont too.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it would be good if Chris could get over and look the thing over, and he could report back to the rest of us that live away.
Yeah.
Chris, did you have a question? Or?
Yes, I'll take some video, and you can help me share it on the screen there, Mr. Chair. so one, Linda's saying we got to move on, but Kim, are you guys a big enough player now that you're really in the region? There is a fair bit of manufacturing of food and processing food. Are you a big enough player to talk about the upstream packaging with people, or is that part of the vision down the road? I'm just curious. What you guys are doing is amazing, but upstream is where we start to really make the whole thing a little easier, I would guess.
Yeah, I did participate in the Vermont Product Stewardship Institute this summer on an EPR bill on packaging. So yes, we are a big enough player to want to be part of those conversations. Absolutely. Yep.
If we could get into a biodegradable packaging system, products, that would be great.
Yep.
Well, I think Kim will move on, and certainly appreciate you being with us. And Casella's doing a great job. Of course, up where I live just 10 or 12 miles from the Casella waste site in Coventry, and that runs very smoothly up there. They do an excellent job, and so thanks a lot for everything.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Senator Pearson, I can be in touch with you about getting you over to the site once we're fully operating, if you like.
Yeah, when it makes sense. You've just piqued my curiosity.
Yeah.
When it can happen, I'd be glad to do it.
Right. Thank you.
So welcome, Carrie, and you're going to talk to us a little bit about Ayers Hill Farm Creamery. We've heard from Senator Parent quite a bit about that, and it's great that you could be with us this morning to tell us all about it.
Well, we ain't perfected it yet. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. We've already been asked quite a few times, would we do it again? I'm not sure that the answer on that. I'll know more in 10 years. So our creamery came in August, and it's going well. The milk's really selling. But it we knew there wasn't much money in the fluid milk, and that's holding true. If you're going to sell, you got to sell in a large volume, or you've got to do value added. So right now we've only branched out we've got whole milk, white whole milk, we've got chocolate milk, and we've got cheese curds. Cheese, they're all a hit. We're out. We're 9 miles from town. We're right literally on the Canadian border. So people have to seek us out. We are in Main Street Market in Richford. That's a blessing and a curse. It puts us out there, but we're on their schedule. I'll get an email. Got an email last night, need a delivery for tomorrow. They need 30 gallons of white and so much of chocolate. And we shipped 90 gallons to them last week. We don't have the storage here. I've trying to run the farm. My husband, Nick, works for CDL, the maple sugaring equipment company. Plus it's getting near sugaring season and we just don't have employees. So there's definitely interest. There's definitely interest from the community. I was probably slower getting on the whole buy local than other people. We're farmers, so when I go to Hannaford, I usually buy store brand. I don't, support the local farmer, so to speak, just because of the money issue. We're selling our milk for $5 a gallon. You can go in and buy Hood. I think it's $4.69 right now. So we are a little bit more expensive. Plus people have to travel to us. We have a little farm stand right here in our driveway. We're about a quarter mile from the farm. We've had quite a few people want to tour the farm, check out the creamery. I think there was one day since August, since we opened up, that we haven't had a customer. And that was our first little snowstorm when it was 20 degrees there a month or two ago. Every day we've had somebody. It's been very well received, and we're shocked. We are really shocked, but our biggest hang-up's got to be employees. Keeping the farm running, keeping the farm stand stocked, and same with Nick doing his job. We have a cream separator that we're going to start, and a butter churn we have on order, but everything's back ordered because of COVID. So we do plan on getting into the butter. It's coming, just slow. And it's neat. It's neat.
Do you do this all yourself, or do you have somebody that helps you, or?
It's just Nick. It's just myself and my husband and my cat. It's just Nick and I. It's too much right now. It's too much. Everybody starts out that way, but you can't really hire anybody on. There's no profit margin right now. When we get out into the yogurt, and he started some kefir, we're just playing with different products and stuff like that. But there's so little margin that when you sell to a store and you give them 20% off, you're not really making anything on the fluid milk.
So they take, like, out of your $5, they take $1, so it leaves you $4. And then you have to transport it.
I have to transport it, take time from the farm to transport it. And we're not big. So when they call for an order, we're generally scrounging around to produce it. It's about a 6-7 hour process between start and finish.
Yeah.
So it's very time consuming. I've had a lot of farmers interested in about it and asked about it. I try to be as upfront with them. It's not that I don't want the competition, but I just not that it wasn't a smart idea. It's difficult.
Yeah. I think Senator Polina has a question.
Yep.
Anthony?
I'm just wondering what kind of volume you're doing, or could you say it based on how many cows you're milking, or how's it sort of fitting into your farm?
Yep. So we milk 200 cows. Well, we were with DFA when we cut back with the whole COVID. We're milking 185 right now. I'm still over quota. And we can do 45-gallon batches at a time. And we've been doing like 5 batches a week, which is, good for our size, but we need to be bigger if we wanted to make money at it, you have to sell volume.
Sure.
And we knew that, but we also knew that this is getting our foot in the door. This is getting the community, see what interest there is there, and slowly branch out into different products, time allowing, and if we can find some employees.
So I'm wondering, and I don't if you don't want to talk about this, that's fine, but I'm wondering a little bit about how much it costs you to set up and whether or not COVID funds had anything to do with it.
Yes. Now, I did apply for 2 different grants. They helped tremendously. We started this on our own before that ever happened, and I'm grateful that it did happen. So the creamery itself was around $70,000, all the equipment. The problem was, what I didn't figure in was the $30,000 upgrade for power. The farm was maxed out, so we'd already ordered all this stuff, and coming to find out we don't have enough power on the farm. So it's not so much the creamery, it's all the incidentals.
And then you have to buy jugs, or
the jugs. Another thing, I like cows, and I've never worked in a store. There's just some things, no matter how prepared you think you are, you're not. In order for us to get the jug, the cap, and the label under $1 per container, we had to buy $11,000 worth of jugs and $4,000 worth of labels. So that's all overhead. That's all in a container. But we had to get we had to get labels 5,000 of each label because to get our costs down.
But
We got labels for a while.
yeah. So you've lost another $1 in the jug. So now you're down to $3
Mhm.
because you had 5 at the end. Store keeps $1. $1, those jugs, that's expensive for, it
Yep,
seems like for a pretty cheap jug.
It is, and we've got the cheapest cap.
Yeah.
Each cap is 5 cents, and they come in a quantity of 2,500.
Yeah.
We were the first initial 3-4 batches. We were putting our own labels on. Then that became too cumbersome, too time consuming. So we have to order 8 cases of each container in order for the jug company to apply the labels.
And you got different sizes, different kinds. Do you do chocolate milk?
We do chocolates. We do 4 different sizes in white and 3 different sizes in chocolate.
Yeah. So you had 7 different labels then
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the cheese curd labels, we do 3 different. We do buffalo, garlic, pepper, and original, and the same thing. In order to get the labels and the packaging where we were going to make a profit and still sell competitively. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and we don't necessarily want to be in stores. We want to bring the consumer here to the farm. We want them to ask questions. We want to put a face with it. That's kind of what that was our idea, I guess.
Yeah. Have you applied to the Working Lands Grant Program?
We were awarded the Working Lands Grant, and we were awarded the dairy processor grant.
Yeah.
So we were able to apply that money towards some of the costs, but when it's a new business, so every time you turn around, there's thousands of dollars going out the door. You're not talking hundreds, you're talking thousands. For a cream separator, they wanted 60 grand. We found one secondhand for 12,000. Comes to find out that it's not the right power source. So it's power from Europe. If we can change it over, it's gonna be like $1,500 to change the power over. We're just getting started, there's days where we're looking at each other thinking, well, why did we do this? But like we have fresh cheese curd day, and when that happens, there's a constant stream of people. It's a self-serve. We have a square register. People come whenever they want. But we also had to branch out into the meat. So we've got USDA, we got beef and steaks here on the farm from the cows. And that seems to what's bringing the people. The people will come and get their hamburger and grab a jug of milk.
Yeah.
If we had just milk standing alone, we would have already shut it down.
Well, you're going to end up with your own store here. You keep going beef and then get some berries and fresh veggies.
Now I got pigs and chickens on the way.
Yeah. Senator Pearson has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. I'm often struck at the kind of work you're describing. It's really where we were. It's old fashioned in a way, and yet you're cutting edge. And congratulations, and I wish you a lot of success. Can you just talk? In the legislature generally, we focus a lot on broadband and what it means to rural communities and businesses. And can you talk about that? What do you have decent broadband? What is the internet piece of this? Is that part of your puzzle? Just help us understand, because we're dealing with that not in this committee, but across the board.
Broadband's a huge issue. We actually tried getting some security cameras for the shack, and the broadband wasn't enough. So we had to go with a simpler version. The square register runs on Wi-Fi. There's just simply not enough. Even with the farm, on the farm end, there's just not enough. It's not fast enough. It goes in and out. We have good days, bad days. When it rains, we don't have good service.
It's
So are there other questions? Have you thought about, is there anything that we should be doing to help small startup operations like yours? I mean, did the ag agency use you good? Could they have used you better? Environmental issues, economic issues? Are there things that we could be doing to make life easier for operations to get started?
I was treated well. I can't complain about that. When I called for questions, I got the help. I've been dealing with Tony Kitsos from UVM Extension. He's been helping us come up with a business plan and actually what direction do we want to take this? Where are we making money? Where are we losing money? I got to say the biggest thing is employees. We need competent employees.
Yeah.
That's the biggest hole.
Yeah, and we hear that every day from whoever we have in, from big businesses to small businesses to truck drivers to just regular laborers. It's really a major problem.
That's where we're trying to decide as a farm what direction are we going to go in, and we keep coming back to the whole labor. I've just recently tried to become an H-2A employer for a visa, and that's a lot of red tape. I've been approved, but now my 2 employees that were coming from South Africa, the border has been shut down. So we're in limbo there waiting to see what happens. Oscar.
Yeah.
But yeah, just say labor was the biggest deal.
Yeah.
Carrie,
Go ahead, Carrie.
Carrie, if you could get to, how many, I know you and I've talked about those 2 employees, but long-term, looking 3, 4, 5 years down the road, what type of employment prospects do how much labor do you think you'd need?
I need 4 people. I need 4 full-time people. I have 2 Hispanics that are milking, husband-wife team, and they're awesome. And now I'm trying to get 2 outdoor people, crops, maintenance. There's just not a labor pool. I've tried for 2.5 years, applying through, posting job ads through Craigslist, Facebook, and Indeed. And it's not a good site out there. And we've changed, I'm not asking for 80-hour work weeks. I'm asking for 40 in housing and, $16.50 with housing, everything included. I don't think that's a bad start, and you still can't get anybody.
No. And probably all the milk they can drink as well.
That's right, and beef.
Yeah.
And some maple syrup on the side.
Boy, $16.50 and with those bennies, I mean, that adds up to real money.
It's I always thought it was the money, but it's not. That's not the issue.
Just won't work.
Just won't work.
We had testimony the other day from a farmer, and they said that their most reliable help was from 50 years old and up. And they would hire people even 70 years old if they wanted a job. Yep. Because they knew that they would show up at 8 o'clock in the morning or whenever. Mm-hmm. And no, it's a crazy issue we got facing us. Maybe we have too many giveaway programs.
I totally agree with that.
But anyhow, we've got to jump on to another meeting. I have one other question. Speaking of the UBM person that helped you with your financial plan, was that through VHCB?
Yep, I dealt with Tony Kitzel's for a while, but I did get hooked up through VHCB with them. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And if you run across anything that you think that we could be of assistance with, give Corey a call, or any one of us a call. I work on all kinds of issues, from unemployment to getting signed up to get your vaccine.
Right. Yep.
But if you need anything that you feel that we can help you with, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to serve you people, and so anyways, did you have anything else you wanted to add, Carrie?
Oh, I think I'm all set. Well, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Senator Pearson has a statement or a question.
Yeah, just mostly a comment, because I live in Chittenden County. Everybody likes to think Chittenden County is different. We hear the same issues from labor folks about labor folks on farms and businesses in Chittenden County. This is a real dynamic, and I would just caution you. Just obviously, it doesn't get easier up by the border where you guys are, but it's an issue everywhere. I promise you that. But thank you for this. A great story, and I wish you a lot of luck.
Yeah, it was great. So thanks again, and guys, we got to jump on to the other meeting with Working Lands for 10 o'clock. So we'll see you there. And thanks again, Carrie.
Yep. Thank you.